So why Reno? Why are we putting all this content and making all these videos about Reno and Tahoe and Northern Nevada? And the reason that we're doing this, and hopefully you're watching a bunch of other videos that we made talking about Northern Nevada, how amazing it is that the perception of what here actually is and what I think people think it is completely different. I know when I first moved here in 1989, people thought of Reno as this dirty casino town. That silly show, I don't know what years it was actually on TV, but Reno 911 did nothing but make people think of us as this ridiculous place and not a really great place to live. And what people have to understand is most of the people got here. I saw recently we were voted happiest place to live. I don't know how they measure that stuff. It has been an amazing place to live. And the one that drives me the most crazy is when I travel around and I try to tell people I live in Reno, Nevada, or I do real estate in Reno, Nevada, they just automatically assume that we're really close, or they say, hey, I just visited Las Vegas. And we have to understand is Las Vegas and Reno, one, couldn't be more different. And two, they're not even close together. We are literally a 450-mile drive from Reno to Las Vegas. Really, the only similarities between the two places these days is, yes, we both have casinos. Everyone knows where Las Vegas is, and Las Vegas has grown themselves into this community of entertainment even more than gambling. And honestly, within a few years, they're going to have all four major sports. They already have hockey. They already have football. Baseball's coming. Eventually, they're going to get an NBA team. And they've grown into this entertainment capital of the world. I have nothing against Vegas. I like to visit and go to Vegas. But living in Las Vegas and living in Northern Nevada is completely different. And so what we want to do today is talk about some of the reasons. And I put the questions out there to my clients and my friends and my family to ask them, what were some of the reasons, one, that you ended up here, and two, what you love about being here and why you stay here? Because it's always funny to me that people think, oh my God, you live in Reno. Why do you live in Reno? And so we're going to debunk some of these myths and explain to you why it is that people love living here and what makes it such an amazing place. And I came here 35 years ago, and I think most of the people I know came here because I went to college here. And I came here to this great university. For those of you that may not know much about the University of Nevada, it's a tier 1 school. It's gorgeous. It's brick buildings. There's lots of open space. And as they've grown it to the north end of the campus, they put in more brick buildings. So even these new buildings that are brand new versus a building that's 100 years old, they all look very similar. That's how a lot of us got here when we started. And the cool thing that the university is doing right now is they've reached out to local companies and local businesses and looked at what kind of educational things do you need our students to have, so then a school can keep their students local and go, come here, go to college here, get a job here, stay here, live here, work here. And if you can do that, it's an amazing thing. I think where Reno sort of changed the narrative and sort of got put on the map was about 15 or 20 years ago when we started talking more about business and the climate, and then Tesla came here. And between Tesla, and a lot of people know about Burning Man, and a lot of people know about Lake Tahoe, between those three things, people at least go, oh, okay, I know where you are, even though they still think we're really close to Las Vegas. And that's where like the real change kind of started when I talked to people. So what was happening is people in California started coming here in droves. And it drove up prices, it drove up business. But because of all those things, and I keep explaining to people all the time, there's never going to be enough people leave California to mess California up. And the last thing we want is California to have a bad economy. But whether I talk to realtors in Portland, Seattle, Las Vegas, Reno, Salt Lake, any major West Coast city is seeing their fair share of influx of Californians. But there's still 40 million people there because every time somebody leaves, somebody bought the house in California. And so as long as that's continuing to happen, our economy is going to grow, our job opportunity is going to grow, our economy thrives and all those kind of great things here. And so because of that, the opportunities here have been great. Now, if you've lived here for a long time, you'll hear some people complain it's getting too big, there's more traffic, there's more people, and that, in some ways, there's a little bit of that is true. When I moved here in '89, it was roughly a couple of 100,000, maybe 225,000 people, and now our Washoe Valley area, where you're including Reno Sparks and kind of that surrounding Washoe County area, we're pushing 500,000 people, and if you start to go out 30 minutes in each direction, you can live in Fernley, or Dayton, or Carson, and even go a little further and get to Minden, Garnerville. We're pushing 700,000-800,000 people now, and I don't think people realize how big an area we are. And yes, our housing has become more expensive than I think people think it's going to be. We're definitely more expensive than Las Vegas on more moderate, everyday type housing. But people have to understand, because it's grown and it continues to grow, it gives lots of great opportunity for a kid to grow up here, go to high school here, go to college here, and then stay and have a life and a business and a career long-term here. And so for someone who grew up here, came here at 18 years old, went to college, got married here, raised kids here, has now run a business for 25 years here, the opportunities here are endless, and you can find them in lots of different ways. But that isn't what always keeps people here. What people always talk about and know about, of course, is Lake Tahoe. And if you've never been to Lake Tahoe, you've never seen Lake Tahoe, it's an amazing place. And the cool thing that when I started asking around why people stay here is the outdoor opportunities. You can do things here 12 months a year. We made a great video about this that you guys can watch later that talks about in the wintertime, skiing, and snowboarding and snowmobiling and snowshoeing. You can do so many things up in those mountains in the wintertime, and the same thing in the summertime where you can go get on a boat on the lake, you can go sit on the beach, you can hike, you can ride dirt bikes outside, you can play tons of golf. There's so much 12-month-a-year activity here that I think people don't realize that falls right into the events calendar. Pretty much starting here in about April through October. We did a video on this one as well, and I'm talking weekly, so you can find things like Burning Man's the one everybody knows about, but between the balloon races, the rib cook-off, the rodeo, Shakespeare Festival that runs all summer up at Lake Tahoe, you can just visit one of the videos we did before. It's endless. It goes on all year long. There's always something to do here. The one thing we get a lot of questions about with people are schools. Well, my kids grew up here. They were born here. They went to 3 different elementary schools, 2 different middle schools. I had one kid go to a private high school, one kid go to a public high school. And I would say, you can Google school information and they'll tell you Nevada is not a great state for schools. But I always look at it, whatever you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And my kids are fully functioning 20-something-year-old kids that went to all the schools here, and everyone has their opinions on there, and teachers will tell you different things. There's lots of great educational opportunities here, whether it is public or private, all different kinds of options for you. So just know that shouldn't be something that keeps you from wanting to move here. If you are someone that wants to relocate a business, we're an amazing opportunity for that. We have a company called EDON. We've talked briefly about, they're hosting a big event here in a few weeks, that if you're thinking about relocating a business here, we can put you in touch with them, reach out to them, and give you all the pros, cons, benefits of why doing business in an area in a state like ours is so beneficial. And where this really came into effect is if you go east of town a little bit towards Fernley, about halfway there is what's called USA Parkway. That is where Tesla set up shop. And if you drive out that way, eventually it's going to be the biggest industrial center in all of the country. There's so much room out there. And what's happening now is that companies from Northern California, they don't want to relocate their whole business, but they're relocating divisions and sections of it and lots of other opportunities so that people that have a hard time affording living in Northern California can come here, have a reasonable paying job, and have a much more healthy lifestyle, an affordable lifestyle, and not have to drive too far to go to work. So there's lots of just different things here, and this is part of why we're making all these videos. The other thing for people, let's say, who travel a lot, if you want to hop in a car and you need like a big city fix because you think maybe Reno isn't big enough, you can go to San Francisco, get the big city fix. You can drive to Napa and Sonoma and see the best wine country that there is. You can literally hop on a plane, and our airport, as the time we're doing this, is in the middle of a big construction project, but you can pretty much get to every western city, whether it's Seattle, Portland, Bay Area, LA, Phoenix, Salt Lake, Boise. We have flights to Texas, Chicago. There's a direct flight to New York. You can get to most places, and worst case, you're gonna have one connection and that first flight will be short, but you can even go international. I fly a lot of times to Seattle, and from Seattle, I get a direct flight. It's like 9 hours into either London or Amsterdam. You can fly from San Francisco and get to Asia or Hawaii. And the other nice part for people is if you still have a lot of family that lives in Northern California, you can drive there. In the summertime, it's a 3.5 to 4 hour drive, and you're already in San Francisco. I've done it a bunch of times. And so there's just lots of different options for people. So the whole reason and the whole point that we're doing all these videos and putting all this information out there is to try to change the narrative and let people realize there is a lot of amazing things here, and what you may have heard or seen or thought by Reno 911 or other things about casinos and gaming are just not true. With that being said, we're going to do a lot more videos about neighborhoods and other information, but if you're watching our videos and you're something you want to know about or something you haven't seen from us yet, by all means, comment below. Let us know what you want to find out about. We'll happily do some more videos about this as we go forward. We're always looking for ideas anyway. So reach out to us, let us know what's going on, and we'll hopefully see you on some future videos going forward. We appreciate you watching. Subscribe to the channel as always. And if you have any questions, just make a comment. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. And we'll see you on another video very soon.